The primary. Okay.
You ready? Good. Call this public meeting of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Welcome, everybody, to the July meeting, and we're going to get started with our report session, and Mr. Shealy has a whole section on capacity, bond capacity, and budget.
Yeah, I'm gonna get through it in 10 seconds.
Oh, what?
Believe that?
Yeah, I don't believe that. None of us believed that when you said it.
The first section, or first one is 2A1, is presentation of the five-year projection. And the main thing I want to show, well, I guess, Kirk, I need a little more resolution. Well, let's just start going.
This is on page 8 of the packet.
Starts on page 7 of the packet. The first,
Moak and
Yeah.
Casey finance model.
right, the Moak and
Okay.
Casey model. The, this year we have is a transition year with the new state funding bill. We are having to work with rules that we've never had to work with before. And I have no
I'm
idea.
gonna grab it and pull it over so we can see it on the far
Yeah.
left, your far left.
The HB3 theoretically is a simpler calculation because you do not have the turnaround from the prior year. Having said that, we do have to, the projection of TAVs is going to become critical to determining revenue, at least the cash flow portion of it. This year we would have had a really significant inflow of revenue because of the significant growth we're projecting for TAVs. Under the new law, we're not going to get that lag money. And that is a one-time hit of somewhere in the neighborhood of about $7 million. We will never get that back. Having said that, we also don't have to worry about the turnaround, because if we had gotten that money this year, there would have been a desire to use it, and if we didn't grow as fast next year, theoretically, it could have knocked us down. Because you lose what you got this year and you pick up the new stuff. It's a little more stable in some ways as long as your projections are good. The revenue on the long term is almost entirely based on the number of students. The number of students, I guess I'm up. The number of students that you have, and you can see the increases, 1920 we're estimating 2741, and then up by 541, 643, and so on. That is the number that is going to generate the revenue. Whether it comes from M&O or whether it comes from the state is neither here nor there, because the number is going to be based on the enrollment and the characteristics of your population. So what we did is I went using the demographer's numbers and assuming no more than a 2% increase in revenue stream, which is what the new law has, it really keeps it pretty close to where the state's going to provide about 36%, and local taxes are paying 56%, and that's after all of the tax compression and everything else. The local homeowners are still paying the lion's share of what's happening in our district.
Is Fed the other 8, is the other 8% federal money?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the other 8% is federal money. Federal money and other local money, interest income, things like that. The next page, which is page 9, has the projection of the expenses. And at the bottom of this, you'll notice that I've got several categories: approved enhancements, clinic, on behalf. These are items when we go up and look at the function 11 through function 99, those are submitted budgets or payroll runs. And so that's the budget we have from submissions, from the campuses, departments, and also what we have based on the approved staffing plan. When we get to the bottom, we start adding in things that are either non-negotiable items or have special programmatic requests. One of the big ones is, and it's highlighted in green, is the fund balance replacement. That is a key part of the budget. When you look at the bottom of that page, you'll see that there is a surplus of $3.2 million. That is on top of the 1.5. Now, that number at this point in time is a placeholder, because just today I found out that the increase in the district's contribution to TRS has gone up, and that's not necessarily reflected in the payroll figures that I have. So at this point in time, I anticipate that 3.2 will dwindle to probably close to nothing. We'll keep the 1.5, we'll manage through that. I think we're probably safe with the insurance, utilities, and maintenance. And I think we've got a couple of, we're waiting to see how things come down. We're still getting information from TEA as to how the new finance law works. They're putting out a series of videos that we have to go on and see, how do you set the tax rate? How do you pay teachers according to the new salary plan? How do you record comp ed funds that are now based on census blocks as opposed to free and reduced lunches? All of these things we're having to go through and calculate. We have never had to do these before. So some of these, they've told us, are not going to come for months. So there could be something that comes out. I don't think we're going to have any negative impact. We use a consensus of Moat Casey, the Equity Center, Omar Garcia, and myself and my staff to compare numbers on these things as we go through. Moat Casey has been probably the most consistent and the closest to what we have done. So
How close are those now? Because
What's
last
that?
month, those were still pretty far apart. How close are all those
Oh,
sources?
they're down within, probably 400,000 or 500,000, which on a $190 million budget is what, 1/4 of 1%. So I don't think we're gonna get much more precise than that. And a lot of the differences have to do with the census blocks and the free and reduced and the dyslexia, how that's folding in, and also the high school allotment and how that's folding in. Things that used to be outside are now in. I want to point out that they raised the basic allotment from $51.40 to $60.30. That should have been, let's say, $900. At 25,000 kids, $900, let's say $1,000 a kid, that's $25 million that we should have gone up. But they pulled so many things out, one of which was the cost of education index, that we lost almost 18 million of that 25 million. So if you were in a rural district and not in a high-cost urban area, you got a much greater bump from this law than you did if you lived in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. Those districts didn't get near the bump that districts in rural areas got. So we've been playing with those numbers and trying to make sense of what's happening. Having said that, you'll see going forward that we're showing a surplus in each of the next 4 years. And that's money that right now we're trying to shake out. I don't think it's excessive, but I also don't think it's, I don't see a problem, but there's no raises included in that. So that's going to be the challenge, is how do you open these schools? And you've got Copper Creek and then Elementary 17 and Elementary 18. And we're going through, that's through 23, 24. 24, 25, I believe, is when we're going to open Chisholm Trail, Eagle Mountain High School, excuse me, is when we're going to open Eagle Mountain High School. The trick is going to be, as we learn more about this law and as we go forward, trying to get the capacity to open that school. Part of that may be a philosophy of building up fund balance now, using some of that when you open the school and then catching up to the cost of the school. It's also gonna be a challenge to get raises in, because the only money we're gonna get going forward is going to be tied directly to the number of students that we go up. And when we open a new school, each one of the children that are in that school the first year is gonna be worth an additional $1,000. So if you have 900 kids in a middle school, like Marine Creek, we'll get $900,000. That would be in addition to the growth. So those are gonna be your two key factors. TAVs no longer play a factor in your M&O operations. They play a factor in your INS, but not in your M&O. Anybody have any questions on the projection?
So the function 11 increases are just the growth in staff due to increased number of kids?
That's based on a number of students or per teacher, and I think I use 20 to 1 for every
Ratio.
20 students, we get another teacher.
Okay.
But there is no salary increase calculated there.
And it looked like it went up pretty linearly, so you actually don't even have the schools in there either, where we actually have a slight
The-
increase.
The school, you can see the last 3 lines. I do have in 21, 22, opening Copper Creek, that's 1.5 million. And then number 17, I got 1.55 million, and number 18, I got 1.6. So I do have those schools opening, which kicks those expenses up, but the
And that's where
others-
you have the salaries for those additional
Right.
staff, okay.
So that kicks those up, but everything else is pretty linear unless something significant happens. I anticipate that as we grow in students, most of our expenditures, with the exception of those required for opening a school, are going to be relatively linear. Because our big expense, 85%, 85 cents out of every dollar is personnel. And those personnel costs are driven primarily by instructional staff. So as we go up, it's gonna be, it's a new world. It sounds much simpler. I keep kicking myself because I know it's not this simple, but it's pretty straightforward. The next agenda item has to do with consideration of TAD information and projection of property tax receipts. And I don't have my, Kirk, that would be 2A2, if you can pull that up. Starting on page 11 is the schedule. We looked at this a couple months ago that shows the progression of TAVs. It's really hard to calculate this number because you'll show that I've got an 11.41% for the current year. That number is going to be substantially higher. It was dampened by a record number of protests. And whenever you have as many protests as we have this year, I get very conservative and they get very conservative with the result of those, of the ARB, Appraisal Review Board results. So they have kicked us back and we're not getting early reports. So I haven't gotten the July certified numbers and probably won't. I'm supposed to have them by the 25th. We'll see. I don't know that I'm going to have them by the 25th. So we are looking at, my guess is right now, based on looking at the reports and the number of protests, that number is going to be close to 12.5% to 13%, which makes a significant difference, but I don't have anything empirical to base that on. That's just my reading the reports. I don't have a calculation that's going to show that.
But they could come in at 14 or whatever, or 13 and a half even, or something, depending on how they rule on each case, I guess.
If it comes in at 13 or 14%, that'll reduce state revenue. Nothing that happens to those TAVs at this point under the new system impacts M&O revenue. All it does is impact the differential. So if we get a big bump this year, the first year, the tax rate is set at $1.06, they're only going to pay us X amount per student.
But it would make a difference for what we could do on the bond
It
stuff.
would make a difference for what we can do on the bond, absolutely. And that's a number that we'll know this July. We'll have it firmed up in September. And by September, October timeframe, I'll be fairly comfortable, not only with that number, but also with the economy. We should know whether or not the Fed is going to cut interest rates again, which they're leaning toward doing. We'll have an idea what the labor market and the construction market's looking like, which is, we'll get to that in a bit. There's kind of jumping ahead. But at this point in time, I anticipate that we're probably going to be at about 1.5, right at 11 billion dollars in total TAVs, which the one thing it does give us the opportunity to do, and this also builds capacity, is to call and pay down some of our variable rate bonds. So we will pay down some of the variable rate bonds. We will call every bond we can possibly call, and we will no longer have to transfer funds from M&O over to INS, which technically is not allowable anymore. I don't know how they're going to stop districts because we do pledge our M&O revenue, but at this point in time, we shouldn't have to do that. The next session has to do with an update on capacity and insurance. And on page 13 of the board book, you've got the impact of interest rates. We just set the variable rate interest on the bonds right at 1.47%. That was substantially below what we expected it to be. We were hoping to be in the 1.819. It's lower than anybody else around us has gotten in the last couple of weeks. And it's all based on the anticipation that the Fed is going to drop the discount rate. Once they do, the market will solidify, and it's going to be hard to know whether or not it's going to move anymore. There's three factors that we have to look at to determine capacity. One of them is the interest rate, and a 0.2% change in the interest rate has about a $50,000 capacity impact. So if interest rates go up 0.2%, that takes $50,000 out of our capacity. They go down 0.2, then that adds $50,000. So we watch the interest rates very closely. I haven't looked at the fixed rate numbers recently. I've been concentrating on the variable rate bonds, but I think they're somewhere in the 3 to 3.5 range. The second character or factor that we look at is on page 14, and it has to do with construction costs. And in this scenario, there's actually two aspects. The scheduling of when we build things. These are big projects, and with the inflation that we put in there for construction, if we can start it a year early, it's a substantially lower cost. If we have to wait a year, it's a substantially higher cost. And we may or may not have, and it's going to impact our capacity. And once again, the piece that we've got to look for down the road is Eagle Mountain High School. That's the one, that's the single biggest piece in this entire program. We got to get it right. The other thing we have to look at is not just the timing, but also the economy. When we built Chisholm Trail High School, we happened to hit right at the beginning of the recession. We had a lot of unemployment. We had a lot of people that were looking for work. We were able to get bids that were 15% below what we had anticipated getting. And consequently, we went in and actually upgraded a few things and still saved money and brought it in under budget and on schedule. So how the economy is behaving, in addition to how we sequence the projects, how the economy is behaving has just as big an impact on pricing as anything else. Once again, we watch those. I don't know how to project that 4 or 5 years out, except to say that anything we do, we need to be careful, because if we can't pay if we can't issue the bonds to build Eagle Mountain High School, when we need to issue those bonds, the cost of delaying that project could derail the entire program. It's that big.
What's there's two project delay columns. The first one, is there a time frame on those? 'Cause there's a difference.
Yeah, the first one, the first section is the schedule that we have looked at. Excuse me. And also, I went down and under the assumption that architects never give you a number that's too short. I put in 95% of the authorization to the actual cost to give you, and that produces about $15 million in capacity, just that difference. On the second column, I've got, if you delayed those projects a year, that pretty much takes all that capacity away and you lose about 15 million. The third section is kind of in and out, moving some forward, moving some back, how it plays. And in that one, depending on how you move, the illustration there is, depending on how you move those pieces, you can come out with a net zero impact if you are careful to make sure that you're moving the pieces in the right places. You don't just accelerate everything and then, because you're going to use up that capacity right now. So if you accelerate something, maybe you decelerate, you want to keep that near zero, because right now, on the projection we're looking at, it's really tight. So before we accelerate it, we need to really look closely at what the impact's going to be. And I'm working on a model that will give us that's a little more sophisticated than what I've been using, but it still boils down to what's the interest rate going to be, what's the economy going to look like, and what's the inflation factor on construction prices.
So these could look different for that very reason as well, if the assumptions that you have in the model are very different than what we actually see in the marketplace.
Yes. The next one, I think, is taxable assessed value. And on this one, I've got a growth rate of 12% this year, 10%, and then I've taken it down to 5%. Because I'm not very comfortable with where we are on a long-term basis. I left the INS rate at 37 cents. And that's because we promised that we're not going to raise the tax rate. So I've left it at 37 cents. I've looked at the additional funds that are generated and assuming an interest rate of 3.25. So if you look at in 2019, the $1.1 billion increase at 37 cents generates right at $4.2 million. At 3.25%, that would increase your capacity by right at 85 million. So the increases in the TAV do generate to an increase in capacity. I'll also tell you that our current debt service, as it's structured, is increasing each year. That's how we issued the bonds. So while that 86 million in increased capacity is there, we've used a good chunk of that 4.2 million in additional funds on current debt. And I should have brought a copy of the current debt schedule, but you're playing with a lot of factors, one of which is the existing debt you have, one of which is what are your interest rates going to be, and I'm going to go back what your TAVs are going to do, construction prices, and interest rates. All of this plays into one pot, and depending on how you make your assumptions, you can get radically different answers. So you make your best guess and you go forward, which if you go to page 16, and this is the model we looked at last year, and we've got elementary 16, which I believe is Copper Creek going in now. We have security upgrades, we have capital improvements. I didn't realize Fleet was going to buy land all that quick, but we're covered. We've got everything there. And then you can see that we've gone out and moved the projects. I've highlighted Boswell Athletics. I don't think anything, I don't remember what the original completion date of that, but I think everything was out in the 24, 25 range. So we've shown an acceleration of that. Capital improvements we have out ratably. I have the administration and Wayside sitting out with a 24, 25 completion date. And you can move those numbers around and it will change the bottom. Based on this scenario, if you look at the bottom, in 22, 23, we have a deficit in capacity. And that is also the year that we have to start funding high school number 4, Eagle Mountain High School. That's why you look at that first issuance, which is in 2021, is 75 million, and the next one's 95 million, and the next one's 90 million. Those three issuances are almost 60% of what we currently have outstanding. That is a really big shock to the debt structure. And it's those red numbers, I know they look big, I think they're manageable, but I'm hesitant when I play with these numbers. I'm hesitant to say that as much as TAVs are going up, and as much as I would like to accelerate projects, I think we may be able to accelerate one of the projects or possibly 2 of them. I think it's going to be difficult to accelerate Wayside, the admin, and Boswell Athletics all at the same time. I just think that's going to be, that's a gambit that's a little more than what we can afford to try. I will give you a live model of this as soon as I finish looking at it that will allow you to move projects up and back. And you can see what the impact is. Integral to this is setting the interest rates, setting the TAV growth rate, and your schedule will automatically take care of itself. So, but these are, at this point in time, it's tight. It's just really tight. Now, this is based on 12%, which is what I think we're going to be close to. And I will get that out to you as soon as I work the bugs out of it, hopefully in the next week.
How much bond capacity does every percent increase? So you're
Every
saying
percent of
12.
what?
If we get on TAVs, if we go to 13, what is the 1% increase for every
A
1 percentage
1%
point?
growth in TAV generates right at about $7 million worth of capacity. Based on interest rates.
Are you also gonna let the INS rate be something that we could raise or lower based upon?
I'm sorry?
The INS rate, can it be a variable also?
If we were to raise the INS rate, yes, that's a
I mean, can you make
massive-
that a variable in your worksheet?
Yeah,
Okay.
I hadn't thought about that. I've been so fixated on everything else, I haven't done that one. If we were to raise the INS tax rate and accelerate projects, I know it's a hard sell, but you would probably save enough money to make your total all-in payment
Right,
decrease substantially.
right. That's what I would think, but I didn't know how much. But if you'll put that in there, we can get a roll
Every
over it.
penny is gonna generate right at, 1.4 million dollars, which is an additional, if you pay down that much, I'll work it backwards, but I'm doing off the top of my head, which is
Yeah,
always.
that's how much debt would be.
But sometime in the fall, we want to come back together, maybe in a workshop, in order to discuss this, because we'll have some other projections on Eagle Mountain High School cost and have a better idea of what our capacity will be, and also your risk tolerance. And so thinking about coming back in maybe October or so, around there with the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this kind of moves backwards from when Cleat needs the green light to go forward. which is based on when do we go out to bid. So it sounds like a long ways away next summer, but it's not that far. So hopefully, when we get the levy on the 1st of September and we look at our first supplement, which should come toward the end of September, we'll have a much better idea, not only where this year's levy is, but also what the economy's looking like. The next item, starting on page 17, is the review of the budget for adoption. And I would direct you to page 19, which is the proposed matrix for salaries. When we adopt the budget, there are several things that are incumbent on when you do that. One of them is the hiring schedule, which we've approved, but it's also the salary schedule and increases, also any new programs. All of that stuff that's in the budget, approval of the budget pretty much gives tacit approval. However, it's nice to come in to show you exactly what we're looking with respect to pay raises. And I'm going to say one comment, and then I'm going to turn it over to Debbie and Dr. Chadwell. The amount of money that we're proposing is substantially more than what was required by HB3. We could have given raises that would have been less than 2.25%, or right around $1,000 per person, and been compliant with HB3. But that really wasn't even in the cards, because that wasn't where we were going to go. And the logic and where we're ended up, Dr. Chadwell, Debbie, I'm going to let you guys talk to this. You're the ones that did this.
First thing I want to say is that in order to put this together, we looked at school districts around the state to see what they were doing. Also understanding some districts were affected differently based upon the school finance changes. We had to take that into consideration. We looked at our local market, and when we create this, we really highlight those that are most applicable. So while other parts of the state may be of interest, just to see what people are doing, it's most important for us to see what districts in our immediate area are doing, particularly those in which people do not have to move. And so they can simply just move districts next to them for the salary purposes. So we looked at that. We also looked at capacity long-term, because there's a couple of factors here. One is we've got to sustain this, obviously, into our budget into the future, but also to take into consideration that there's many of us, with me being one of those, that believes that the state is going to get a bill in the next session that they're going to have to pay. Because they stepped out there very aggressively, because they cut revenue abilities with the 2.5% cap, and there's a few other factors. And so we have to make sure we can sustain this over time, especially if the state decided to reduce some of our revenue in the next session. We know each session stands alone, and people forget about what happens in the previous session. With that being said, a couple of philosophy things just to start. We wanted to get the beginning salary up to $55,000. While there is a requirement in law to differentiate the 0 through 5 from the 6 and on, we didn't necessarily have that philosophy. We feel like all teachers with years of experience are important, and so you see the differential of 3.95 or 3.85 and 4% is pretty close, because we wanted to give enough dollars all the way down. We looked at things in terms of market. We often call it the UEA pay scale comparison, to look at the 0, the 5, the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We looked at all that as well. We also pulled out nurses from the pay scale. One thing that we learned as we started reviewing this is that since nurses are tied to the teacher pay scale because of commissioner's rules, it means that there are certain limitations on how we compensate them. So to give you a scenario, you could have someone that's worked 10 years in a neonatal unit and intensive kind of care, and they may start out at 0 because they were not in a teaching hospital, and they may be compared to someone that's been in a teaching hospital for 5 years, maybe with less qualifications. By pulling them out of this pay scale and building it into our own every other way we do that, making that an administrative professional 1, we're able to really respond to that and respond to the market with those nurses. So there won't be, and they'll still get increases commensurate with what we're discussing, but it also means that we can respond to the market as those positions, particularly with medically fragile students, gets more challenging. We also have counselors pulled out of that, so what you see here are teacher librarians. We also had all other positions at 3%. As you know, the board also gives us an additional amount of dollars in equity adjustments to look at adjustments as we analyze those. And one we've already targeted and discussed in the last meeting was certain maintenance positions. We looked at some child nutrition positions, and we'll be looking at all those and addressing those not through this GPI, but actually through the equity adjustment. So we're going to be working on that with the allotment that's included in the budget. So I'm really proud of this. We have to be careful again as we come forward with this. There's a few questions people are asking about it. The number one thing that you hear is you always hear the first thing that you've ever heard about something. Well, so what's the first thing everybody heard about it is that teachers are getting $5,000. And as y'all have heard me say, I think most people that have been around the business for a while know not to listen to the first thing you've heard, but that did persist. I would note that that was never in the House language at all. They never discussed that at all. They wanted to give local control to local boards to make those decisions. That's something that persisted in the Senate side for a while, and then they stopped talking about it when they came together and with an agreement. But that number has persisted, and so we've tried to correct that as that's come out. So I've probably stolen all of Debbie's thunder, but I'll turn it over to her if there's anything you want to add.
I just wanted to add how excited I am for us to present the opportunity for us to really be competitive, especially on the starting salary at 55. That's our neighbors are going to be right in that area. So we made a big jump last year at 53, and so this really shows our commitment to hiring quality teachers and being able to recruit and retain.
And we also are entering in $25 additional to pay towards insurance contributions, and this is a 3-year plan, so a total of 75 over 3 years, going from 225 to 300 to help with that. As y'all know, we've been hesitant there because those dollars are not a part of your TRS in terms of creditable compensation. However, it is certainly part of the market in terms of people looking at comparisons. And so that's one reason, as he'll discuss in a moment, about the clinic. And that's another element to try to look at everything we can offer for our employees. And so be happy to entertain any questions of how we put this together or what we prioritize.
So that's just for the folks that participate.
Correct.
And did you assume any change in participation levels with that additional, or is that not enough funds to change the?
We didn't consider that the increase would be significant enough to have to model. But right now, I believe we have about 50% or so take the insurance. It's somewhere around there. It's
That's
still
about
honestly
50%.
too expensive in many cases, and this is not part of this report, but there are a couple of districts in the state that are, even though they're TRS districts, and we know once you're in, you're always in, they're using certain innovative methods to preclude themselves from the TRS system. Namely, their districts of innovation, and they're saying that they are not subject to those rules, and they are testing that right now. This is mostly in the valley, and so we're watching very closely of how they do that. Our intent is in the fall is actually to go out and to test the market to see what we could bring insurance on as an independent school district, or also maybe working with a consortium we've put together. But also we are expecting that TRS will challenge that and may challenge that in court. So we're I don't want to get too far ahead, but we're looking at that as an option too, because we do feel like our insurance plan is, it's expensive, and it's gone up again this year. So, any other questions? We are proud. I mean, we're very excited. We're thankful for the ability to do this. It's very deserving for individuals. But as we've stated, it's not as if we're not going to ask again for more next time. We are. Just because we received some more dollars this time, when you've been behind for so long, they're going to have to do this many years in order to get up to the market. If you've not heard, we were at 44 in the country in per student allocations, and we've gone all the way up to 43. That's how far we have to go. And again, I'm thankful, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to keep asking. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, a couple things I'd throw out. If we can go out and get an alternative program for insurance, because you wouldn't actually be replacing, you would just be offering an alternative. One of the things we can do then is marry that with the clinic to where if people get the annual physicals, then their premium would drop by $10, $15, $20 a month. There are several things like that that are being done by our neighbors who are not tethered to TRS that we just simply haven't been able to do. So this whole thing is an evolution, but we're going to, I can't negotiate with TRS Active Care. If we get our own program, we can negotiate it. And we can negotiate it for the benefit of the families that work here. And that's, we just haven't been able to do that. The last item I have,
Yeah,
I
I
guess
did
I go
just,
into the budget.
those three categories, year 26 and 29 and 30 and 31, have huge steps compared, I think I might have asked this before, why is that? Is it just?
I had a note to ask it that.
Huh?
I had a note to ask that.
Well, part of it is trying to drive up those years after 30, to get them up, and so you have to make some pretty good steps in order to get there. To get from year 27, which is at 65, I'm using the first column, to 70 and 31, you have to make some pretty considerable steps. Is that what you're asking?
It's just interesting to me that everything else seems to follow kind of a pattern, except for those 4 years.
Well,
And
I
not,
think
it's not
part
even
of
a
it-
whole series of years when you get higher. 'Cause
Well, I
there's
think part of
two
it
that
was
are
to
fine.
get in the 30-plus up, to get it over, because that was one of the conversations
25
with
and
the
30.
board, was to get 30-plus.
But it didn't affect year 27 and 28?
well,
Those people are rolling up also, like those are, that's the step, but we also have actual people in there too that drive.
part of the, and I'm gonna go, part of the reason that there is that variance is because we started giving raises based on actual salaries.
Versus
So
midpoint.
once we did that, everybody, any variance that was there is actually being exacerbated a little bit. So this one does indicate a 4% increase based on actual salary between last year and this year. So those differences are never gonna close, and without a complete restructure, which would be an additional several $1 million, you're gonna see some lumpiness in that scale.
So, okay, that's good, because we did ask to get the there's not as many people in the 25, 30 on up, so if they're gonna stay with us or stay in the teaching profession, I don't think that's contrary. to
Well,
what
no,
we
I mean, and
asked,
it's still the 4%, so I didn't disagree. I was just curious why. It almost seems like there was a little bit of a problem with the scale itself at some point, and then,
We just
That
looked
we're
at the
still correcting.
prevailing salaries, actual 4%. We'd never actually stepped up after 25, had we? So we're kind of, we added those as best we could with existing personnel, which is in some cases just a couple of employees at that level.
And did we increase anything for additional schooling, master's, doctorate, any of those things?
Masters has that.
1,500.
Did you increase that, or is it still
1,500.
just the,
It's at 1,500.
okay,
It's this number plus 1,500.
Okay.
And there's not one for doctorate.
Okay.
Right.
Included on page 20 is the actual proposed budget. At least at this point in time, we're still refining this, but at this point in time, you can see the numbers. If you'll look at I've got the comparisons, the state template, Equity Center, Moak and Casey, and Omar's template, which is run by us. And you can see most of us are fairly close there, and Moak and Casey was higher. Moak and Casey brought theirs down to right at 175. So we're all within a very narrow range, which gives me a lot more comfort. The one key element, and the reason Moak and Casey was higher was because they were using populations and the composition of those populations, it was different than what we actually have. So I went in, corrected those for our projections, and their number immediately fell down. So total revenue, $190 million. We're getting close to being a $200 million a year operation. Never thought I'd see that. If you go to the next page, you see submitted budgets. Those are the budgets that we've received directly from campuses and departments. Payroll and benefits, and actually that's really just payroll. And then I have an allocation, and that allocation is benefits and on behalf and several other factors that are not quite solid. That goes over to 185 million. The 1.5 million that we're budgeting for fund balance increase is 187. So once again, you've got the 190 projected revenue, 187. That's about $2.5 million. And I do believe most of that is that's going to tighten. It never goes the other way. I think it's going to tighten. Report number 5
You're
has
pretty
to,
confident it's not gonna tighten more than that cushion? I mean, because you guys are asking us to look at salaries, and if this is off, prior to the overall budget set, and if this is off,
yeah,
you
no.
don't have any place else you can really take it from.
I think it's just a matter of there's minor tweaks. We've got most of it. It's just a matter of there's just a couple of, anytime you have an overhaul like this, it has to flow into the accounting system. And when it does that, you've got little pieces. And while HB3 was primarily directed at revenue, it did have some other aspects that were impacted. The final piece, presentation tonight has to do with the clinic. We have continued meetings. Currently I have the contract, or at least our perception of the contract with the attorney being written up. We are looking at benefits that will benefit both insured and not insured employees, making sure that there is some relative equality there. The one thing we were asked last time, which we did, Megan put out an employee health clinic interest survey. We did have approximately 667 responses, which is about a quarter of our employees. The numbers they surprised me at how positive they were. In fact, they were enough that I doubled my estimate of the cost, because I don't know that it's actually going to happen. But if you go to, for example, the last graph on page 26, the next graph down curve, it talks about if you're insured through a different vendor, how likely would you be to have an annual physical? Well, it looks like it's only 25 and 17, but 47% of those people, it's not applicable because they're insured in the district. So actually that 25 and 17 both double. So you're getting up to 80% of the people who aren't on our insurance that are saying that, yes, I would either very likely sign me up, or I would do it if it's quick and easy, and we are making this as simple as we possibly can. We're trying to eliminate any red tape so that when the employee goes to the clinic, they will immediately be in receipt of whatever benefits associated with the clinic. So they're not gonna have to come back and file for a reimbursement, no. We're gonna run the numbers behind the scenes and make sure the employees get direct benefit. So as we went through and looked at those numbers, I was not expecting, and like I said, this is 25% of the employees, considering they're on vacation. That's a pretty healthy number of responses. So we're working on that. We hope to have a contract back at the same time that we adopt the budget and include that as a benefit within the budget.
Thank you, Ms. Sheehan.
Any questions?
We're going to move to report B, which is the Human Resources Report, and we have a 1920 Student Code of Conduct presented by Ms. Andrea White.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first thing I'm going to do is the Student Code of Conduct, and I provided kind of a summary of some of the more important parts that have been added to the Code of Conduct, so I'm just going to touch on a couple of those. The School District Authority and Jurisdiction section looks like it's all new, but it just got moved to that section from another one. So all the items in it have just been added to a new section. Then threat assessment and safe and supportive school team has been added based on Senate Bill 11, which is to serve at each campus. And then they added prohibited aversive techniques. House Bill 3630 and Senate Bill 712 have added this list to our code of conduct. And then House Bill 811 added to the list of consideration of mitigating factors for administrators when they're considering discipline. They've added 2 more items to the mitigating factors list. There's also a new section based on House Bill 2184 that is a transition service, so it's just requiring DAP administrators and the campus to work on transition plans if kids have to go to DAP and their transition back to their home campus. Did y'all have any specific questions?
So how is it written in the code of conduct book? This is something we're giving to the kids and their parents, right, that they sign? So is it legalese like the TASB notes suggest, or is it written, in your opinion, is it kind of self-explanatory?
It
These
is.
new things?
It's very, yeah.
Are they
this is just-
highlighted in any way? Or-
They aren't, I mean, you got the big copy that shows the additions, so it just comes in the form of the student code of conduct, not necessarily highlighting the new areas, but showing those in the official code of conduct.
It only matters when their kid gets in trouble and has to
Exactly.
follow this, and then they're reading it and
Right.
asking either you questions or us questions, so. Anything else on it? Anybody else have a question? This is coming back as an action item later on, so not that you can't ask questions then, or if you want to pull something, but we wanted to get to the report because it is, as mentioned, an action item later on.
Also, Mr. President,
Don't
just
take action tonight, right? We have to have a special meeting.
Yeah, we have to have,
It's before
we have to have
school,
a
so we
student
need-
conduct out, so code of
correct,
conduct.
correct. That was our intention of bringing it this evening, just for your ability, but if there's certain things that you want us to bring as a report in a special meeting and then have that, we certainly could do that. Compared to the last session or last couple of sessions, the changes here are fairly minor. The out-of-school suspension for homeless students is probably the most significant out of those. There's some other requirements, but we didn't see anything substantively different compared to the last couple of sessions.
Mainly just wording. There's usually the changes just have to do with wording and they still mean the very same thing.
Gonna go ahead and do your, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
You wanna go ahead with the TASB update?
Sure.
113?
Okay, so
You'll
this
be
is.
done, that'll be exciting, right?
Yes. So this is the TASB update 113, and it had 36 legal policy updates to it, and then there were 10 that were local, and I'm just gonna touch on a couple of those as well. There were a couple that were specific to the board, specifically in the wording relating one to confidential records and the other related to attorney services. There's also a couple of new policies that have to do with food service management. One specifically talks about the compliance with state and federal procurement rules on the use of child nutrition funds, and then the second addresses the element of the federal free and reduced price meal program. And then the last one that I'm going to touch on has to do with investigation and searches, and a component of it has to do with that reminding students that there is no expectation of privacy with district property, so that in district property, they could be searched at any time if they felt a reasonable need to do so. So that's this one. I know we'll be getting 114 pretty quick with all the legislation, but that's what TASB 113 is. Do you have any questions about those?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I think we're gonna wait on yours. I'm not surprised by that since it's 5:56. It is currently 5:56 PM on July 22nd, 2019. This board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act: 551.071, consultation with board attorney; 551.072, real property; 551.074, discussing personnel, including conducting the superintendent formative appraisal conference; 551.075, security; and 551.082, considering discipline of a public school child or complaint or charge against personnel. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening the public meeting on July 22nd, 2019 at 7 o'clock p.m. and will now consider the subject set forth in the posted agenda. Welcome, everybody. I see a full house during the summer for our July meeting. And to get us started, we have the opening ceremonies by Prairie Vista Middle School, Dr. Anna King.
Good evening. Thank you
Evening.
for having us here. I'd like to start by introducing my two students that are here to help me with this feat tonight. We have Gavin Kogar. He is a 7th grader at Prairie Vista. He's just completed 6th grade as an honor student. He's in NJHS. He will be in pre-athletics, and he has also made the honor band for the 7th grade. Gavin is known to be a very polite and respectful young man. He's very shy, so this is a new thing. He is very welcoming, and he served as one of our student ambassadors. We can count on him to meet new students and show them around to school for the first part of their school journey at Prairie Vista. He also tends to have a bright smile, and he puts others at ease. So we thank him for being here tonight. His parents are Mr. and Mrs. Kogar. Would you please stand? Marcy is our teacher of the year. Okay, we have Morgan Behringer. You'll probably recognize someone later on who's here with her. She is also a 7th grader at my campus. She has been very active in being a student citizen. She leads by example. She is also one of those that brings others in and is very welcome. She's an avid and will be in athletics for the next year. She likes reading, building in Minecraft, traveling, and Lego building. She is currently participating in a summer youth reading camp at a church, and she enjoys spending time with her family. So if we could have her dad, you know him, please stand. And her little brother is here with us. Her little brother is here tonight. You want to wave to us tonight? Okay, so we're going to have Gavin go ahead and start. If you all would please stand.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me for the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Now for the moment of silence.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prairie Vista, Dr. King, students. Next, we move to some special introductions. Dr. Linda Parker.
Thank you, Board of Trustees. Thank you. We have a full house, as you can see, and great introductions to be made. I wanted to let you know that beside your computer is a folder, and this is the work done by Ed Services leaders, led by Dr. Dana Barnes and Lisa Dunn, and the whole team putting together an onboarding packet for all of our leaders. We want you to know we're excited about bringing new people into our realm and the work that they'll be doing. So I wanted you to see that we do have a plan indeed. Tonight we have 14 people to introduce, and we're going to get started. First of all, leading the Wayside Wildcats. If you would step forward, and your wife and sweet daughters please stand as Mr. John Fahey is introduced. He has served EMS ISD for 2 years as assistant principal at Boswell. He has been the academic assistant principal for the past 4 years, has a total of 13 years of experience in education, and we're happy to have John leading the Wayside Wildcats this year. Prior to working in EMS ISD, he worked in both Fort Worth and Keller, and is eager to, and has already returned to the middle school ground from which he started. So welcome John Fahey as the new principal of Wayside Middle School. Next on our agenda, leading Chisholm Ridge Elementary School, is Miss Crystal Green. Crystal comes to us, EMS ISD. I want David Kinney as well to step forward. So you see, this is her new assistant principal. Okay? So, yeah. Would like for Crystal's, David's wife, I believe, is here. And she is welcome to stand. Miss Abby, thank you for being here. A little about Crystal. She has quite an interesting background. She comes to EMS ISD from Irving and has over 15 years of experience as an administrator, instructional coach, and teacher. She has taught in Ecuador, South America, and has led educational trainings for teachers in Dallas, Fort Worth, South America, and South Africa as a consultant. Crystal earned a Master of Curriculum and Instruction from the University of North Texas and a Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies from Texas State University. She is currently working on her doctorate in organizational leadership and holds Principal Generalist Special Ed and ESL certifications. And she will be leading Chisholm Ridge Elementary School. Excited to have her, and working beside her, Mr. David Kinney. Mr. David Kinney comes to EMS ISD with over 23 years of experience in Texas public schools. Most recently, he has been the Education Technology Specialist in the College of Education at Texas Christian University. Go Horned Frogs, right? Yeah, go Frogs. And he has been a tutor, Title I tutor in Burkeville ISD. He received a Master of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies from the University of Texas at Arlington and a Bachelor of Science in Early Childhood Education from Texas Christian University. He is also a Google certified educator. Thank you guys for leading Chisholm Ridge Elementary School. Now, we are very happy to introduce one of our own. You may recognize Miss Rachel Bradley. She has been in EMS ISD as an assistant principal for the past 5 years at Saginaw Elementary School. She has experience in, I thought this was interesting, and in saying everything but second grade, she has experience in kindergarten, first, third, and fourth grade in both Fort Worth ISD and EMS ISD. Most recently, of course, she's been our assistant principal. She's also helped us at the Hafley Development Center in early childhood as the director of our daycare program. She's done a great job there for that little short period, right? She earned a Bachelor of Science in Early Childhood Education from Williams Baptist College and received her Master of Education Administration from Lamar University. She will be the principal of the Dozier Ducks. Welcome, Rachel. Now our next group up is coming from Chisholm Trail High School. We have 3 assistant principals. We'll start with Mr. Ron Gatlin. I believe his wife is in the audience. Will she please stand? Ron Gatlin comes to us from EMS ISD, from Northwest ISD, where he served as assistant principal of Tidwell Middle School. He has 14 years of educational experience in both Oklahoma and Texas, got to Texas as soon as he could. He got his start as a science and PE teacher in Putnam, Oklahoma. In 2009, he joined the inaugural staff of Byron Nelson High School in Northwest as a teacher and head wrestling coach. It was my privilege to work with Ron there at Byron Nelson. He received his bachelor's degree from Oklahoma State University, his Master of Education from the University of Central Oklahoma, his principal and superintendent certifications from Lamar University. He is currently pursuing his doctorate at Texas Tech University. Welcome, Ron Gatlin. Glad to have you. You can stay right here. Introduce the rest of your team. On this administrative team at Chisholm Trail High School, we also have Mr. Walt Harden. I believe his family's in the house, and his wife and 2 children. I love when y'all try to pull all the babies up here. Great to have. Love to show us support. Mr. Walt Harden, glad to bring him on to our team. He's coming from Crowley ISD, where he served as the associate principal of Crowley High School. He has 15 years of experience in education. He has served as a teacher and coach in Miami-Dade County Public Schools and locally in Fort Worth, Mansfield, HEB, and Keller, and he's now at home here in EMS ISD at our Chisholm Trail High School. Mr. Harden received his master's degree from Arkansas State University and his principal certification from Tarleton State University. We welcome you. Thank you so much. Last but never least is Miss Renata, I have to make sure I get this right, Slotzauer. We are happy. She used to be Vargas when I knew her previously, and now she has this wonderful name, and I've got to make sure. Slotzauer. We're excited to have Renata on our team. She is just a champion for children. She comes to EMS ISD from Northwest ISD. She has 15 years of experience in education, all served in NISD. She actually worked with Mr. Shealy's wife as a Spanish teacher. We are happy to have her. She has a Bachelor of Arts in both Spanish and a Master of Educational Leadership and Policy Studies from the University of Texas in Arlington. She is originally from Lima, Peru, and Spanish is her first language, and we're delighted to have her rounding out our Chisholm Trail High School Ranger team. Thank you so much. Allison Bodie is next. She is, you may recognize her, as she is one of our TCU fellows. She has been in EMS ISD for 3 years, leading our Aspiration Initiative program as the coordinator there at Chisholm Trail High School. She has served this past year as an intern at High Country Elementary School, and we are happy today to announce her as the assistant principal at High Country. I think she even has some teachers here who are in support of her. So if you guys want to see I'm excited to have her. She received her Bachelor of Science in Physical Education and Health from Oklahoma State University, her Master of Education in Educational Leadership from Texas Christian University, and you may know her also as her husband is head coach at Chisholm Trail, Coach Bodie. So Allison Bodie, welcome as an AP. Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Jaretta Henderson joining our team at the Hafley Development Center, and I believe you have a few folks here. So if you are representing Jaretta Henderson, I'd like you to stand. We are delighted to have Ms. Henderson join us. She has served in a variety of teaching roles this past 12 years, including special education teacher, pre- and postnatal teacher, PBCD teacher. She recently completed a principal internship through TCU at an elementary school in Fort Worth. Ms. Henderson received a Bachelor of Science in Community Health and a Master of Public Health in Health Policy and Management from Texas A&M. She also has a Master of Education in Educational Leadership from Texas Christian University. She is our new assistant principal at the Hafley Development Center and will be working with Ms. Stacy Valera. Next, we have Miss Erica Sidman. Miss Erica Sidman is one of our ALI graduates, I believe. She is our new assistant principal at Ed Wilkie Middle School. We're excited for her. She most recently, let me back up. She has her son and husband here joining in support of her. Looks like her. Thank you for being here. She most recently was our RTI reading interventionist at Prairie Vista Middle School. Previously, she served for 12 years in Fort Worth at a middle school as a math and English language arts teacher. She also served as a campus reading specialist and campus testing coordinator. I'm sure those skills are going to come in handy as you move into middle school as AP. She received a Bachelor of Science from Texas Tech University and a Master of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies from the University of Texas at Arlington and has served a total of 15 years in education. And like I said, she's a graduate of our ALI. We welcome Miss Erica to Ed Wilkie, to the land of the Badgers. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Miss Karen Birch, another new middle school assistant principal. She'll be leading the team at Highland Middle School, where she has most recently served as a math teacher and department chair. Karen Birch has been a teacher in Keller. She was a physical education teacher and coach in Lake Worth and a 5th grade teacher in Irving. She has 19 years of experience in education, most of which has been served in our district. And she received a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Texas Woman's University and a Master of Education Administration from Lamar University. And she's been a member of our Aspiring Leadership Institute as well. We're happy to have her serve in the role of assistant principal at Highland. Thank you. Glad to have you. Next on our list is the elementary assistant principal, Miss Tara Lynn Holtz, almost messed up. And her team of teachers who are at High Country are here in support of her as she moves into her new role as assistant principal at Greenfield with Miss Kelly Ramsey. Terry Lamb previously worked in both Keller ISD and HEB before coming to EMS ISD 2 years ago. She is an outstanding English teacher. She holds a Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies from the University of North Texas and a Master of Educational Administration from the University of Phoenix. Mrs. Holtz has 18 years of experience in serving students, and she will serve this year as assistant principal at Greenfield. Welcome, Terry. Our next high school assistant principal is Mr. Genesis Reddick. He has been named the assistant principal of Boswell High School. Genesis has served in our district as a science teacher at Chisholm Trail High School. He has participated in the EMS ISD Leadership Institute. The past 2 years, he served as an assistant principal in summer school, done an outstanding job. He is a graduate of the West Texas town of Sweetwater. I think that's Rattlesnake Country, right? All right. And holds a bachelor's degree from Texas Tech University, a master's degree from Lamar University. He will be joining the Boswell High School Pioneers as an assistant principal. Welcome on board. Genesis family is here as well, I believe. And so if they would please stand up, I miss them. Thank you. Last but never least is a new administrator at our central office. Dr. Cheryl Hunt is our new secondary ELA coordinator. We're happy to have her on board with us. She has been a middle school and high school ELA teacher. She's been an instructional coach, assistant principal. Most recently, she served at the Educational Service Center at Region 11 as a literacy consultant. Dr. Hunt completed her doctorate of educational leadership at Nova Southeastern University in 2015. She is a Thinking Maps trainer, and she has 2 sons and a husband who is here tonight. If you please see. To keep her busy. We have already been keeping her busy working. Welcome, Dr. Cheryl Hunt. It's exciting to get to work with you. We are so happy that you've joined our EMS ISD team. board. We're excited about our new hires and their journey with us, and excited about the opportunities that they have ahead of them and the opportunities for us. You guys, if you would step outside, we'll take a picture out in front of the building, I believe.
Can we?
You can talk.
Sure. Well, welcome. Thank you for the permission to talk, Dr. Parker.
Just helping, just helping.
Not, I don't think your family got to stand up, so I know you got, yeah, is that your family there? Okay. No, that's okay. I saw a little girl.
It's Lot Tower.
So
That's Lot Tower family. He's ready to go with you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We will not make you stay for the rest of the program unless you would like. Thank you, but, Chris is gonna get a picture outside.
Pictures outside. Thank you, family members.
That is a blessing. First grade, she went talking. She did it really well. Well done. Good job. Good job.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Great family support. Oh my gosh. Family and staff. Hey, we admire the best. They are fantastic.
Good job, good catch, good catch. Thank you.
That's important.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a little girl.
Look how clear the run is.
Yeah.
This is what.
That is a lot of people.
Singing to the families, that's fun.
I guess everybody else is like moving front.
Presentation's the biggest crowd. I want that to go down.
Make that known, right?
Make that known. Please.
All right, gee, I'm shocked no one wanted to stay, but we will move on. Anybody, not the rest of the board, okay. We'll move on then to our action items. The first is to elect the designated delegate and alternate to the 2019 TASB Delegate Assembly. Dr. Cheville, I don't think we're going to need your help here.
No.
Donna?
I move we elect Marilyn as the delegate,
All right.
and the alternate delegate is William.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Paige, and y'all can just let Liz know. Marilyn, thank you for helping
Yeah.
Liz out, since she was the one not here.
I know, I took care of her.
Yeah, you make sure you let her know that.
I got elected one year when I wasn't here. I
Show
would
up, this is
never
the
miss
most
it.
important meeting to show up for. Any questions? Anybody have any comments? I'm sure not. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And Marilyn reluctantly, motion carries 6-0. Next is set the special meeting for the superintendent appraisal and contract.
I move we set, you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Set Thursday, November 21st is the date for the superintendent evaluation.
Motion by Paige, second by Donna, to set November 21st as a appraisal conference meeting, and 6, 5,
We
Does it
started
matter?
at 5 last time.
5?
I mean, I'll have a
Look,
preference. just
okay,
whatever you want to do.
5. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none, motion carries 6-0. Next is to set the public meeting to discuss the 1920 budget and proposed tax rate. Mr. Shealy?
Well, as has been pointed out, the verbiage that we have there was to set a proposed tax rate at $1.068 for M&O and 37 cents for debt service. However, we had originally promised a stable rate of $1.54, which will allow us to set the debt services rate at $1.57.2. So when we publish the tax rate advertisement, my recommendation would be to raise the 37 cents to 48 cents. And at that point in time, we would be, the board can elect to reduce that rate. They cannot, however, exceed the posted rate. So my recommendation is to set the board meeting for Monday, August 26th, 2019 at 7:00 PM, and to direct the administration to post the notice with a M&O rate not to exceed $1.06.8 and a debt service rate not to exceed 48 cents.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Page, second by Marilyn. Are there any questions on that since it's a little different? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, and there are none. Motion carries 6-0. Next is to consider approving the 2019-20 compensation plan. We discussed that earlier in public meeting at 5. Mr. Shealy?
I make a motion to approve the teacher, librarian hiring matrix and all other compensation components as described above.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Donna. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? There are none. 6-0. Next is to act on purchase of VX Rail Converged Storage System. Mr. Shealy?
I make a motion to award the purchase of VX Rail Converged Storage System to Global Asset for a total cost of $503,080.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Paige. Glad you could get through that number there, Tim.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? Need some glasses?
Glasses,
Okay.
yeah.
Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, and there are none, motion carries 6-0. Next is to act on some bids and proposals, the first of which is an extension of the proposal for HVAC air filter system.
I move we extend the agreement with Filter Systems for HVAC air filter services for the first option year to expire August 31st, 2020. The new estimated annual total is $102,755.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Paige. Question? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none, motion carries 6-0. Next bid is the extension of engagement for the annual financial statements.
I move we extend the engagement of Hankins, ESTEP, Deaton, Ton, and Say PC for annual financial audit services for the first option year to expire July 31st, 2020.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Marilyn to approve the audit firm. Any questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. Next bid is to the extension of proposal for assessment and adaptive curriculum for reading and math.
No, that's too many words. Come on, William.
I move we extend the agreement for assessment and adaptive curriculum for reading and math until August 31st, 2020 with the following companies: Southwest Education, iStation, Lexia Learning, and Estrelita. Item 2 is Heinemann. Item 3, iStation, Lexia Learning, Southwest Education in Pearson. Item 4, Heinemann. Item 5, iStation, Lexia Learning, Southwest Education in Pearson. Item 6, Heinemann. Item 7, iStation, Lexia Learning, Southwest Education in Pearson. Item 8 is Heinemann. Item 9, Let's Go Learn, Lexia Learning, Southwest Education, Reading Horizon, and Pearson. No award for item 10. Item 11 is AbleNet, iStation, Suntex, and McGraw-Hill. Item 12, AbleNet, Suntex, IXL Learning, McGraw-Hill, Let's Go Learn, and Pearson. Item 13, AbleNet, Suntex, IXL Learning, McGraw-Hill, Let's Go Learn, and Pearson. Item 14, AbleNet, Suntex, IXL Learning, McGraw-Hill, Let's Go Learn, and Pearson. And item 15, Southwest Education, iStation, Lexia Learning, Heinemann, Pearson, AbleNet, McGraw-Hill, Let's Go Learn, Suntex, IXL Learning, Estrelita, and Reading Horizon. Estimated annual expenditure is $200,000, and the actual annual total will depend upon district needs and product usage. Second.
Yeah, Marilyn.
Motion by Merlin, second by Donna. Could you read that back to us, Becky? Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. Next is the extension of proposal for multi-component data management system for special programs.
I move to extend the agreement with Success Ed for multi-component data management system for special programs for the first option year to expire September 30th, 2020. The estimated annual total is $100,000. Annual total is based on student enrollment.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Paige. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? There are none. Motion carries 6-0. Next, out of the bids, to consider approving EIC local academic achievement class ranking. Dr. Barnes?
Each summer, we take a look at EIC local. We were advised to add 2 pieces of information along with some clarifying language. We reviewed this and verified that, again, adding this information would not change our current practices, so everything still remains the same.
I move that the board approve the EIC local policy.
Second.
Motion by Marilyn, second by Donna. And it's not gonna change any current class rankings or?
No, sir.
Not gonna, okay. Any other concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 6-0. Consider approving the 1920 Student Code of Conduct.
I move we approve the 2019-2020 Student Code of Conduct as presented.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Paige. You heard the report in the earlier session. Any questions for Andrea? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. That got us through the current action items. We did get through quite a few of the reports, but we were down to report, get back to it. Back to report C, Mr. Welch, operations report. 32 in your board book.
We have a few pictures here tonight for you to look at. First one is Marine Creek Middle School, and these are the vestibule doors that have been installed. In fact, this one looks like it's open right there, and it also has a card access on this wall, and these are the other areas. So when you come in to go to a basketball game, these will be blocked off and locked, and then they'll be able to collect money and go through the gate, and then they'll be into our facility. So it's a good security measure in there. It's the front reception office and administrative area, so this is the front door. If you notice a lot of boxes located right in here, that was all some of the supplies that were delivered. And this gentleman was installing the computers at that time. Down here on the workroom, we have this, the printer. It's against this wall. This is a very large printer, so we had to evaluate that after the fact because it's been a couple of years since we did the plan. So the clinic, these 2 pictures over here, here's some of the beds, the restroom area, and there's some millwork located in that area. Cafeteria. This is what the cafeteria. This is all the. It's a great staging area for boxes and supplies. So this is just another load that came from the maintenance facility, the warehouse, and then from that location they get dispersed out to the facility. Here's some of the seating for the cafeteria in this picture, and it shows you again more stuff and the stage. Okay, this picture of the library is the main hallway, and the glass wall is up. So this is an after hours. This is where the books would be located, and you can see that they're putting them in the shelves along with other materials. And then right here at the bottom, you have, this is our band directors, so they're getting all their things organized because they've been delivered. They've been working since July the 8th. And our choir director did the same thing at the top. And this is a picture of the teacher's lounge. There are 2 of them like that, first stairs and second floor also. Collaborative spaces, we've talked about them for a while, but now you can see the TV Promethean board that's been installed, and there's a printer to the side over here. There's some casual furniture on this side where kids can sit and talk and collaborate. And then there's a picture of the science room, so it's a little bit different. It doesn't have the standardized traditional desk, and so it's a big table, it has wheels, they can move it around, they can move it to the side against here to do their experiments, or they can have them different, or they can put them together like you can see right here. So And then the custodians were very anxious to get in there and wax it, so the science rooms have already been waxed.
What is that floor that they're on? Is it
A VCT,
Is
just
it
standard,
VCT?
something you can
Okay.
see in the hallway, that's what it, once it gets that initial shine on it.
okay.
So that was the key, those tables are so heavy, we ended up putting those casters on it, those wheels, if not, they eventually they drag on that and it'll tear the floor up. Jumping back to the band hall, you can just see the instruments, everything's been delivered there, stowed away. Here's the more furniture that was put in here beginning the week of the 8th. Picture of the finished gym, locker room, has the new flooring in place. The only thing that was missing at this point was the base. And then everywhere you will find, they're putting things together, so they'll be able to get their coaching going and not have to do that during the season. And then this one coach was in here getting all her uniforms all organized, perfect. Had to run around the building. I don't think she could really relax until she got all that completed. And the training room ready to go. This is the first day of the floor being put down, the mat, and for the weight room, and now that has been completed and all the machines are in place. And this is the Steve Griffin washateria. It is a top-notch facility compared to what I was using in 1986. Those are commercial grade, and there's obviously 2 of both, and not a residential model at all. So we should be able to take care of all their needs. Oh, any questions about Marine Creek? And Danny's group showed up today? Yes, sir. So he's had a first wave with his office staff, and today was the kind of the first group to be able to come in there, and they got to see the classrooms and so forth. So punch list wise, we're at 95 to 100% in the interior, so that will finish up before the August 5th. And then the outside is in the same boat, but it's not at 95%, but the next week it will get to that point. So they're working in the back on the courtyard area and seating area.
The teachers, you gave them a walkthrough, can they get to their rooms though? Are you allowed?
Sir.
They've already been assigned a room and they know where they're headed?
Yes, so they were able to get in today, they have been assigned rooms. The little incident we had over 4th of July has been taken care of. They're moving in, and they were like kids at a candy store. It was pretty amazing. But they are currently moving into their classrooms, and yeah, we're doing business. Parents are coming in on a daily basis to bring us documentation, register their kids, and so, yeah, not a lot about, but it's good, it's really good.
To make a comment, last week I was talking to one of our vendors that was there and said he's been in hundreds and hundreds of schools all through the state, and he said this is the nicest middle school he's ever been in. And he paid it the nicest compliment. It's beyond just the way it looks. He said, you walk through, it just makes sense, because this really makes sense how everything's laid out. It's logical organization. Mr. Welch has touched on a couple of things there, after hours kinds of things, and it's just really very proud, looking forward to the grand opening and the ribbon cutting and everything. It's going to be great to see people in the building and using it soon.
Okay, Copper Creek. Okay, so that's a structural slab. Probably less than half of our schools have that, but that's the soil's so poor over there. It's a suspended slab, so it lives above the ground. But what's underneath that yellow is cardboard boxes. So you have to put those down to support the slab until the slab cures within all the rebar that you see. It's a tremendous amount in there. So the one thing you cannot have for that type of procedure is you cannot have it rain on that. Once it rains, the boxes, as you know, will absorb moisture, and then basically that slab never got poured. It still hasn't gotten poured because it got rained on. So they had to take all the rebar out, everything, let it dry, then they had to rebuild. So at that point, it's cost us about 10 days on this area. This is the kitchen cafeteria area. We've already poured one of the main academic areas since then, but we'll have to come back and catch up in the schedule on that. So it was a nice, pretty picture, but it just, we didn't make it. And let's see. This is that was part of the area that you can see where it's wet. That was the day after it rained. And this slab right in here has been poured now. That was the one I was just talking about in the area. I said that's actually area 1. We haven't poured that one. Area 2 we have poured. And this is the ICF blocking that will start going up on that area 2. And so area 2 will go ahead, and then we'll have to catch up with area 3, which was the kitchen. And you can
Same
just-
plan as Dozier? Is this the same?
About 98%,
It's
it
gonna
is.
Be similar to Dozier?
We revised the administrative area to be a little more efficient and more controlled, and it has a storm shelter. So some of the drives have all, we're almost at probably 85% on those. So that's a very long stacking area that goes all the way around and then comes back through this area. And so we'll take advantage of that because being friendly to the neighbors and all the vehicles, so we've invested a lot of money into that to be able to get some of the vehicles off the road and free those up. Any questions about that one? So we're about 21 days behind on that one, so they'll adjust the schedule, work it, and just, if we get some good weather, we'll get ahead. We need to get those slabs completed, that's a priority. Creekview, Highland, and Gilliland. Gilliland's moving right along with their carpet, and that part of this project, that's what that was. Later on, we have not installed the playground cover, but we're in the process of that now. So these are the library pictures at Creekview at that time, and so they're at different stages because they went to Creekview first, then they moved to Highland. So you can see how quickly it changes with all the, it gets cleaned up fairly quickly because it's a small space and it moves right along. And here is that same library area where they have the steps. There's a wooden steps. The kids can sit in there, relax, however they want to do, whatever they want to do. And this is the new office at Creekview. So this is the main entrance, and there's 2 sets of doors, one here, and this one gets moved, and there's another one. Actually, it'll be right in here, because you'll have to come into the office through this door, into this door, to the reception, and then come out to the side right here. And here's some of the work with the tiling, and trying to, unless you take all the tile down, trying to match an existing tile that's 20 years old is a challenge. So you either try to get it as close as you can, or you try to do opposite. And I don't know that we've reached the conclusion there at either of those schools of our final tile program. We've got to come up with a better solution. It just doesn't look right. This is upstairs at right here at Creekview. So it looks like a brand new school. The custodians have already waxed it, both these locations. And here's the Creekview gym. And again, it is brighter than our newest middle school at this point. So it has this new LED lighting in it. We sanded down the floor. It's a little wider. That's what makes it, and truly it looks like a brand new gym. And it was built in 2004. And so really, it's so bright, we had to paint, we'll have to repaint this because you can see where the kids have it's gotten dirty, so it's that bright. And then they have the new carpet. And this lighting will be the same thing at Highland also. This is Creekview, the top one. They're getting their windscreens, the slats that go in, and so it's a little more difficult in a older fence. It's not quite as straight as the new one. And then there's Highland getting the new irrigation system, and there's some of the workers doing that, and you see that. And I mentioned this already. This is the new carpet at Gilliland, and this is actually the new secure area going back into the principal's administrative area. So this will have a door on it, and we'll have a card reader here to be able to go back in the back to get access to those folks. Any questions on those 2 projects before I move to the next one? Okay. Here's Bryson, Eagle Mountain, of course, and then you have the Boswell Marching Band. So this is the front, and it's got some gray on it, so this is the moisture barrier. This is on the side where this will be rock, and then it already has the moisture barrier on it, so to kind of mix together what we're doing on that project, so to blend. And here's toward the back, and this is the gym that we've added the expansion. And so now we have brick going up. It's about a quarter of the way up on the back end. Here's the dumpsters, the new dumpster enclosures, and those will have rock on this side, the stone that we're looking at. So the top one's where I really want to point out the difference in, if you see this dark right here, this is the cast stone when it's clean. So when it was day 1, that's the difference. I lost my deal. From right here to right there. So Mother Nature has really tainted that building. In fact, when the cleaner was put on to this area right in here below, because it just bleeds down, you get to see what the original brick looked like, and it's much, much closer to the brick that we chose for the back to add onto the gym. Same thing with the mortar. So it goes from a gray, mildew look, or I say aged, to, look like a brand new chalk type of mortar and everything. So it'll really brighten it up. And here's the gym area. No, I said that wrong. I did that the other day. This is the kitchen serving area. So this is the new tile for this. Same thing over here, just a different view. So this is the serving line will come right in here. And this goes into the gym right in here. That's our new hallway we've created. And this is just another repeat of the serving area that we're putting in. And here's the new gym. So here's the tile. It had existing, this one's a little bit different because our existing gyms don't have tile, but this one did. So it's small enough that we didn't want to mix two type of tiles or two different versions of it. So it's coming through and it's about 50% complete tiled around the edge. This gets new paint up here at the top, and this comes out. And this is the back, actually the south side, getting ready to go up with the brick and the rock. And here is an interior view of it. Obviously you can see it's kind of rained, but this is the big beam. This is the one we add. This is what supports the whole new roof that will come over here. So you'll have rafters that run this direction, and then you have ones that are tied to this in the old structure.
And it'll be the same height as any other gym in our elementary?
No, because we've had to raise it. We removed the drop-in ceiling, so we've gained some from there because it'll be an exposed white ceiling now. But we did lose some height because it wasn't brand new, or we would have built it to a higher scale.
So how high will it be?
That I don't remember what it was. I want to say the original was 20 feet, but I'm probably making that up. But we're going to gain about 2.5 feet on it to 3 feet, I believe. But I can get that for you. This is the county helping us on the Boswell project. So this part over here, this is the marching band area. This is where the new light poles will be located. And so we put a emulsifier on there. The manufacturer gave the wrong amount as far as how much you put on there, and so it would not cure. We tried several areas of putting lime on it, water to cure it. That didn't work. And of course, hotter, once it gets above 90, it became very soft, and so felt like that was not going to be a proper setting. So the county came in and grinded off that for us, and we put in new asphalt. So this field at some point was going to have some more asphalt from us. This just expedited it. And we evaluated last Monday this part over to the north of it, and it's got the same thing. Once all the lime came off of it, we needed to re-asphalt it, so the same thing occurred there. And the county's been helpful in that. They turned it right around, kept the machinery on site, and they should be starting that re-asphalting the northern part this week.
Talking about up by the Fine Arts Building, that
Yes.
part up?
Yes, sir. So,
What's the timeline on getting that finished?
well, this one right up here, this needs to be striped, so it's scheduled to be striped tomorrow. We're working on the color there just to verify that we've got that correct. And this one, they've started already asphalt. So this one, once they put the striping in, they'll just erect the poles. And so they're gonna get it next week, is what we're shooting for. And then the part over to the north, it'll just be probably a week, probably about the same. It doesn't have poles. It just has to lay down there for 48 hours after they install it, and then.
They'll be done with all the grinding though before we have kids out there?
Yes, that was the goal. That's the reason the county was gracious enough to stay there, so that all that dust wouldn't be all around there while they're trying to march and do.
What's that doing to our tennis courts? Anything? Is it blowing that way or?
Predominantly south wind, so it would blow it north.
Okay.
But then some of it swept toward the road. There's some of the finer spot. I'm sure we have dust debris at some point on the campus. Probably expanded on it. Here's some couple pictures of the high school turf project at Boswell. So I guess eventually what happened to us is the rain has caught up with us. so what the group did here, we had two groups of dirt crews and operators. And so after a while, they stopped focusing on the baseball, softball because they had to get the football ready for August the 1st. So they were successful in that, and now if you go by there, you'll see that the softball field's almost completely moisture conditioned already, and the baseball's following right along with it, it's just much larger. But where it caught us is the installer. So once you get the E-layer, which is the black surface that you see in this picture right here, once that's, these guys are laying it right now, but right now it's complete. And we sat there on the main stadium for 5 days and we didn't have installers. So no one to lay the green carpet, basically, and build it up. So we were able to get those. So we lost a week on the main stadium, but we didn't on the August 1st timeline. They're still gonna meet that one. And then we were able to get a second crew on the auxiliary field. So we will follow, I don't know, 5 days behind the main stadium, August the 5th. So Coach Abb is aware of our timelines and we'll have to adjust accordingly. He's got a camp the first week of August, so we're planning for him to be there August the 1st on the stadium. I think he'll start at Wayside on Monday and Tuesday, then he'll get it on August the 1st. And then so we'll have to do a lot of cleaning in that area just to get it ready for the, it's a construction area back there, so they'll have to do a lot of cleanup and we'll have to do some housekeeping. And this is just a picture of them. They're mixing the E-layer, and you can see the E-layer, that's the main stadium. It's already down and there's green carpet on it. Just another picture of it. Any questions about Boswell before I go to that next one? Okay, security upgrades. Again, there was 18 of them. There's just a picture of Saginaw. We were there in that, so we just chose to take that one. So this little area from the front door to come in the office, you had about 10 feet before you hit the main reception area. And then that's the exit door. So it's pretty tight in there. And so what we did is we expanded, and you can see this picture where we expanded the wall back and kept the windows. And this reception area will move back into this area. And that way the visitors won't be cramped in this little small area. And so these are some of the things that have been completed. And those are the easiest ones. And then last week they started on the storefront, the camera cables, and access control, door hardware, wood doors, things like that. So still pushing for the August 1st deadline, but I'm sure there'll be things that, with 18 of them, that are gonna lag for a week or so. So we'll just stay on top of them. And the other projects, the state shade structures, 2 of those have already begun under construction. That would be Gilliland and Elkins. So those pier holes have been dug. There's equipment on site. We just need to make sure we keep everybody off those while that's occurring. And Watson's under construction with the interior part of that security upgrade and still waiting for that shade structure. The Lake Country Elementary site, we still have not closed on that site, and so there's an extension on that of 75 days to help us close on that. So Dr. Chadwell has signed that and give us our extension. And then we continue to work on the central office and Boswell Athletics. Any other questions?
Anything else going on, Cleek? You got?
About 7 a.m. in the morning, there'll be something happening.
You're doing a great job. We appreciate your.
Yeah.
Well, I got a great group and we're trying to stay on top of it. And at this point, it is a challenge, so.
Yeah, those days to school, till August 1 gets closer, but school's starting, so.
That bell's gonna ring.
That bell's gonna ring whether y'all are ready or not, so.
We'll get there.
All right, good job. All right, next is the annual communications report. Megan?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So if I can get our technology going here. There we go. All right, good evening, and I am pleased to bring you a new report to share about the efforts and the activities of the communications department for the past year. We do a lot of time spending up here celebrating the successes of others, and I wanted to share a little bit about what we do as well. So thank you for the time to do that. Tonight I am going to share some highlights about our goals and our areas of focus, our work as it relates to our brand model and the strategic engagement and retention plan, and some of the examples of the effectiveness in terms of our engagement initiatives. So let's get started. For those of you who were on the board in 2015, you remember when we adopted the new logo, the torch logo that we have today. If you'll think back to that, when we talked about it, when it was approved, we talked about how a logo is really just a picture, and it's the experience that's created, that people relate to that logo, that is really what creates a brand out of that. So on that philosophy, our work in communications is really grounded with a strategic focus on 3 main areas, and they're all centered on the EMS ISD experience. You'll see that organizational climate is our foundation, organizational image is what's cultivated, and organizational engagement is what creates the connections that sustains that brand. So these are 3 driving factors in our communications work. To do that, we focus on 9 different areas, 9 different umbrella areas, and you'll see those listed there. The foundation of our strategic communications is our brand model, which focuses on our brand of community. This was defined in 2017 through a targeted phone survey of district parents, non-district parents, non-parents, and potential future parents that we telephoned and asked a variety of different questions on perceptions as well as what their hopes were for their children. Through the survey, we learned that the overwhelming majority perceived EMS ISD as a positive and supportive community. From there, 3 additional themes rose up out of that survey, and these are what we call our brand pillars, and they are personalized opportunities, world-class educators, and family culture. With those pillars, we've worked within our department and with internal focus groups in other departments to identify high-value attributes. These are the things that become our talking points, our story ideas, the things that we push with our targeted audiences. So let me show you a little bit about how our strategic engagement and retention plan is working at first. So this is an example in our Realtor initiative. This is one of the first areas that we've worked with to expand. We did some informal surveys, excuse me, with our local realtors to find out what information they needed from us in order to better serve their clients and what kind of district hosted event they would want to attend with their busy time schedule. Based on that, we changed up our annual luncheon a little bit and turned it into a realtor symposium. What we did with that is we created several mini sessions, and we brought in industry experts like Bob Templeton, and we brought in Jack from Arasi, and they talked about their specific areas. And they were just mini, 20 to 30-minute sessions where they gave them some real strategic information, and then they could ask them questions. It was very focused in those areas. And then we culminated with lunch, served by our culinary arts students, of course. We have to showcase them. And then Dr. Chadwell was able to talk about highlights and celebrations of the district to give them more information. The realtors have shared with us that they really enjoyed having those area experts there. And what this also does is it takes away the responsibility of Dr. Chadwell to have to talk about demographics and economic development. He can really focus on highlights and celebrations of the district. So it's a more comprehensive view of what's happening in our community to help our realtors learn about our district, how we're engaging with that, and then be able to share that with their clients. So it's been very well received. This was our 2nd year that we did our Realtor Symposium. We doubled our numbers over last year, and so we were pretty excited about that. In fact, I had a realtor reach out to me last week even, wanting to get on the invitation list. He'd heard about it, wanted to get on the invitation list, and then also how do I reach our, how do I get resources until then? And so I was able to tell him about our online realtor toolkit that we have. We keep that updated with new demographic reports and any kind of new promotional videos and items that we have. We also, as part of our realtor initiative, kind of an extension of that, we partnered with the city of Saginaw, and we created newcomer welcome packets. That's this picture right here. You see that one? So it's a lunchbox. It's got informational materials about the district. There's a flashlight in there, things that new homeowners might want to have, but it's got our brand on it. And so they can think of us when they see it, and it's kind of a welcome to the community. We partnered with the city and the city of Saginaw, and that goes out with the when somebody comes in and gets turns on their new water. So it's with the water department that sends those out. So that was kind of a cool thing that we were able to do. And then we also take our EMS Proud magazine that I'll talk about a little bit later out to model homes. And we also have other materials that we take out to our realtors. And so we try to keep them engaged year round and then culminate with our big event in the spring. through these connections, by providing all these resources and these things, we focus on our community brand and we use our brand pillar messaging so that helps our realtors learn a little bit more. They get to kind of feel who we are and that we're a great district and that this is a great place to be a part of so that they can then turn around and sell that with their clients. A little bit about some more engagement efforts, our social media. These are just some examples, kind of a smattering of examples that we've had on our social media. I'll call your attention to our little fun graph over there on social sentiment. We have a variety of ways that we track our social media engagement. One is Meltwater is one of our major methods on that, and we use that to gauge our social sentiment and our top mentions. And that helps us decide, we're getting a lot of traction on this one. These are the type of posts people like. If we start to see that red number get a little bigger, then we can go in and look and see, is there misinformation out there? What does that look like? And so green is good. We like green. And that shows a pretty good social sentiment. I will say this just reflects the district social media accounts. This doesn't even include the campus social media accounts. And so if you were to throw all those in there, that probably would be completely green, just because of the amount, the volume, and the great information that's out there. Okay, look a little bit more of social media by the numbers. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I will tell you our top post on Facebook, that was from the drone image of Lake Point Elementary, and they're reaching 2 million acts of kindness. I want to give a shout out to Ricky Godey in Instructional Technology. He went out and did the drone photo for us, so we appreciate that. Our Twitter numbers remain strong. We're holding steady there. And then our Instagram, we just relaunched this last fall, so we're slowly gaining some growth in that area. And the important thing to note on these is you're looking at different audiences here. So Facebook is going to be primarily parents. Twitter is going to be mostly staff, business, and some students. And then Instagram is primarily students. And so the messages are a little bit different across those, again, targeted with those brand pillars. Okay, a little more on our digital marketing. We have our e-newsletters. Y'all are familiar with those. Most of you receive those weekly. We alternate between community and staff. So we do one a week. Then also on our website, we have our top pages visited listed there. So that would be our home page, family access, and staff quick links. So that's gonna be like email, and they're going to Eduphoria and different staff resources they need with that. On Location on our YouTube. On Location is a new video series that we started this year. We're pretty excited about that. We've got several video series actually, and with the addition of Chris Hill to our team in late December, we've really seen an increase in our number of videos that we've been able to produce. Obviously, it's better to have somebody to produce videos, and it's a lot easier to produce videos when you have somebody on staff for that. So we were thankful to have her, and really seeing some good traction and some good views on our videos. So, but again, On Location was one of our new things that we've done with Dr. Chadwell. We've done 4 of those. We launched those in February. Marine Creek, Child Nutrition. Did a feature on child nutrition. It was great. Dr. Chadwell was in there helping serve and all that. It was good. We did one on our GAP program, and then we did a real cute one with our seniors and our kindergartners sharing advice on that. So just want to give you a little bit of, I'm not going to show you the whole video. This is the Marine Creek Middle School. This was our top video post, but it gives you a little bit of insight into what the On Location series is about. It will open.
Hello, I'm Jim Chadwell. We are excited to bring you this first installment of a new series called On Location in EMS ISD. In each video, we will take you out into our schools and facilities to meet our people and to experience what makes us special. EMS is considered a fast-growth destination school district, and we welcome about 800 new students into our classrooms each year. New students mean new schools, and today we're going to take an inside look into our 6th middle school, Marine Creek, which will open in August 2019. The school is located on an 86-acre multi-site property that was purchased just a few years ago. Once completed, this location will also be the home of another elementary school, the district's central administration, and a new YMCA with a natatorium for our community. In the future, it will be connected to the Marine Creek Lake Trail System.
There are exciting things happening every day at the Marine Creek construction site. So let's go on location in EMS ISD.
So that's just a sample. That goes on for another 3 minutes. It looks a lot different from the photos that Clete just told me. So we can actually go in and show some interviews with Clete.
I know that
He did a
look.
Great job. You love that?
That looked very well.
Yeah. But these have been a lot of fun to do and have been get a lot of good interest with that. And so we're super excited and thank Dr. Chadwell. We put him in all sorts of different situations to interview people, so it's a lot of fun. We also have a Tech in the Classroom video series that we've done. This one, we work with instructional technology to highlight the digital learning that's happening in our classrooms and the expansion of the technology project. We've done just a couple of those as we've kind of gotten some of those things under our belt, and we have more planned for the fall. Some of our printed marketing, I mentioned our EMS Proud magazine. We're kind of EMS proud of our magazine. we are, that was launched in the fall and was kind of created to fill a void of not having a local newspaper in the area. We wanted to have something that we could reach, people could read when they're sitting at the oil place, the oil change place, or the hair place, or waiting to or they're waiting somewhere. And so we partnered with the cities. City of Saginaw and City of Fort Worth both provide information. Our chamber has provided information in the past, and also our education foundation. And so it truly is designed to be a community piece. It is created in-house by my team, our team in communications. Everybody contributes content to that. Chelsea Westbrook is our primary coordinator and designer for the project. Her yearbook experience, her teacher experience as a yearbook teacher in journalism really comes into good play there, and so she keeps us on track with our magazines. We have another one coming out in September? Okay. Another one coming out in September, so stay tuned on that one. We also do district and campus fact sheets. We have printed and digital versions of those, and then we have special purpose projects, and you've received several copies of some of those different pieces there. Community outreach is also a big function of our department. These are just kind of a list of some of the things that we're involved in. Outreach also includes feedback, gathering feedback, and a large piece of that for us comes with our annual surveys and our Let's Talk system. This last fall, we expanded the Let's Talk system to all of our campuses, and so every campus website has a page that links them to Let's Talk that allows people to have 365, 24/7. They can submit a question, a comment, or something, and then we have protocols put in place for how long we can respond and those kinds of things. And we've had great, a great experience with that rollout from what I'm understanding. Some of our principals probably don't want to talk about that. It's been, it's really designed as an additional tool for communication. It's not more work, it's just a different way to make that available to our community. And so we're one of the few districts that actually has it rolled out at our campus level. And I did a presentation with K-12 Insight on that at our state conference, because there were some folks that are just like, how do you do that at the campus level? And here it was really easy. Our folks are great, and it's been a positive addition to our communications toolkit. Do you want to say any more on that?
One thing that really helps at the central office level is it also has keywords that you could put in there. And so like the word transfer is a word that if it's in a Let's Talk, it actually gets sent to a team of people that look for that. And so because transfers have to do with other things as well, it could be from transportation, which is one that I received too this weekend on a transportation question in regards to one of our schools. So that helps me on Monday morning to ask questions of our team to say, okay, this question's being asked. Is this a real problem? Is it not? Is it a perception? Do we need to send corrective information out to something that's not actually an issue? And it's been very nice to be able to have that, because it may be another week or so when a problem maybe has even festered before I would find out about it. Now I'm finding out about it before it's a problem. And so it's been very useful, and we also track all those, and you actually get rated on your responses, and so that's interesting to get your rating. So I get my rating to show, and what we've noticed is one simple pattern. The faster you respond, the higher your rating will be. Even if it's not the answer people want, they've gotten an answer in a timely fashion. We're also getting a lot more about people wanting to move in the district and they don't know where to go. You know, you go to the webpage and go, what do I do? So they go to Let's Talk, send something in, and then also Megan will also monitor it. And so sometimes people will be maybe quicker in a response just because they're trying to get information out, but we also have to be polished. And so if we have opportunities there to do something better in our communication, you know, she'll reach out and say, well, here's some example text you can use in this scenario. Because she knows sometimes people ask this question, they're really asking another question. And so they may ask the question of what colleges do kids go to typically? What they really want to know is, can my child go here and go to my college of choice? That's what they really want to know. And so you have to look for that second question. So that's all been a real powerful tool for us.
Absolutely. We get a lot that come in and are asking about attendance zones, and they really want to know about transfers. So we're able to also, in monitoring that, we're able to get those to the right people, and getting them to the right people on the right team helps them get a response faster, which adds to our community service. It's really a customer service tool. So it's been a real positive addition at our campus level, and that'll just continue to expand as people become more familiar with it as well. Other areas of community outreach, I'm working with the City of Saginaw on the Train and Grain Festival. You've heard about the Train and Grain Festival. That's coming up on October 26th. We are an event sponsor of that. We're hosting at Saginaw High School. I'm sure Ms. Presley is thrilled. She actually is. She's very good. She loves these community events. We do have a rain out date of November 2nd, and so if it, you know, we do get rained out in October, but we've got, there's 2 stages, there's vendors, there's community businesses. We're going to have students performing, and there's going to be local bands that are going to be there, so it's going to be a great day, and we're excited to be able to be a part of that with our community. Also, media relations. You remember some of the stuff we did at the end of the year at Saginaw with Carter in the Classroom and NBC5. That was a lot of fun with their pep rally over there. I'm already working with them on back to school stuff. Some of our reporters with just various random questions that they have as they're looking for stories for back to school. So media relations is also a piece of that as well. Okay. Another area, function of our department, they're not always as public or as fun, but they're very significant, and that would be these public information areas and support. We've, in the past year, we had 137 requests overall in the Public Information Act, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA requests, or subpoenas from courts and attorneys. And we're seeing that trend rise. So 2 years ago, we were in the double digits. We were in the 40s and 50s of complete total overall numbers, and we're already up to 137 for this past year. And these last 2 years have been triple-digit years. And so I think that's just a product of kind of the times, and people are familiar with the process now. But it does take a significant amount of time. Amanda Moore is our Public Information Act and Compliance Specialist, expert in the department, and so she spends a lot of time making sure we stay on track and compiling all the information that's needed to respond to that, working with some of the attorneys. We also have some policies that we work through. We work through Peach Jar. We manage the Peach Jar, our flyer system, which is an email direct marketing system for outside folks as well as inside folks. Website compliance, that mobile access and that ADA compliance are a big deal. The changes on the website that you've seen have all been with the mindset of reaching ADA compliance. April Dunning is our webmaster, and she spends a lot of time living in that world and making sure that we're compliant there. Copyright also falls under her area, and so those things kind of go hand in hand. So we spend a lot of time on the back side to make it look right on the front side. So we also, crisis, you know how crisis works. Anytime there's a situation, all of that becomes centralized from a communication standpoint, so we support our schools and our leaders with the communications that they need with their communities. And then really basically whatever else needs to be communicated, we try to help with that. So that's...
a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
One, just to touch on crisis part of it. Dr. Baker's in the back there. They coordinate very closely. You both positions are critical during a crisis situation, and they both have very specific roles of how they work with the campuses and get information. That's allowed us to be a lot more responsive and consistent on what we do and to address issues in a way that's transparent and responsive, because we know really time is so sensitive in those situations, and so we don't have time to wait around, so they coordinate very closely. Also, I want to point out Remind has been a growing thing that really started with teachers starting Remind accounts, which were free. That has just kind of grown exponentially like apps do. That's been at no cost. We are now under the consideration stage, probably soon to make a decision on this, to have a district-wide Remind account, which would enhance that service and have consistency across the district. The good problem is that we were notified by Remind that we have so many out there that they say they're beyond this, can't be free anymore, and that's a really great problem. It's also taking the place of some of the other communication. I found that for my own. I'm more likely to look for a Remind on a sports team or an activity or a school event as the first place because it's so timely. So just to point that out, things are changing and we're being responsive to that. So Megan's been working on that and getting Remind as a district-supported program for everyone.
Absolutely, and that's going to expand services through Remind for our schools, and so we are excited about how we're going to be able to provide that for our schools to help our teachers, our programs, our campuses, but then we'll also still be able to do the emergency pieces that we need to do. The addition of text messaging for emergency has been great. It has been really, really helpful because we can get that quick information out, and then we can follow up with an email with additional details if needed. And so really looking at ways that people are receiving their information and responding to that so that we can get them relevant information in a timely manner that they need. So
We have some control, for lack of a better word, for what's posted on Remind. I mean,
Well, and that's a really good point, and it's one reason why we're trying to go to a district. When it's independent, it's there's not any monitoring. Under a district account, we have the ability to go in to see every posting and to take it down. As it is right now, there's a number of apps under this umbrella that people could create as long as they have that tool. Anybody that has, a kid on a sports team may have some kind of system. In this case, having a district-wide would allow us to monitor all that and to see those communications. And to, again, if someone leaves the district, we can then shut that account down so we don't have old information out there too.
right. That was
It's not going to require a lot of rework on teachers' part. I mean, because this is really well embraced. I think as a parent, I can
No,
tell
that's the
you
cool thing.
They
They
don't
don't
have to
have
do
to reissue
Okay.
anything.
They
They
have
can
to.
use their same codes. My understanding, use their same codes, same names. Basically, we just tag the codes and names.
Yeah.
Because as it is now, as you're aware, you sign up by school. It just puts that whole school into our district and manages it. And that's kind of the neat thing. It doesn't require a lot of training because people are already using it.
Yeah, that is the really nice thing. We'll do some communication at the beginning of the school year to let folks know that we're moving our emergency messaging and we're embrace Remind as a district-wide communication. But really, I mean, teachers use it the same. They're not going to lose any of the accounts that they have. Everything rolls in under a district umbrella, and we take care of the costs that they would be incurring individually to keep those accounts. See, they're limiting them now to 10 accounts. And so if you're a band director, for example, I mean, if you think about a band director, how they have jazz, and they've got, the trombone section and the drum line and all the other different instruments, and every one of them has their own Remind account. Well, you're gonna get up to 10 really quickly. Even if you have a teacher that's got multiple levels of classes, and then they're also a sponsor of things, you're gonna hit 10 really quickly. And so we're gonna take that on for them. But it also gives us that not oversight is not the word, but it's the support, I guess, that's needed to make sure that our our procedures and our policies are still being carried out. So,
I like support better than control, which I.
Support.
Well, and I would like some sort of a support so you could go get on, sometimes you don't always know as parents which Reminds you should be on until so if we've got that centralized, it might make it easier for parents to get to information sooner.
Yes, we're creating well, actually, it's created, and I'm sure it'll continue to be fluid, but for our website, there's a page it's a Welcome to EMS ISD page, and it's really just for parents of whether you're new or not, and it's got kind of just a list of, these are the communication tools we use, this is what Remind is, this is what Skyward is, this is what these things are. So as they orient themselves to the district and how to be a parent in this district, we've got resources on the website for them. Okay, we've done some great things this past year, and we couldn't do it without this team. This team is phenomenal. I want to introduce Deb next. We have Chris Hill with camera. She's our multimedia. We have April Dunning. She's our website. And we have Amanda Moore, and she is our systems and compliance, which is, as I mentioned, a big job. Chelsea Westbrook is also a member of our team. She is currently away at a week-long residency program down at TCU. She's working towards her certification as a certified public communicator. This is the same program that I did back in 2017, and it's a phenomenal program, but it's really, really intense. And she's going to be working on a marketing campaign, building a strategy for a marketing campaign to supplement our strategic communications and engagement and retention campaigns to target some specific audience that we want to reach out on the east side. So she's doing a lot of hard work out there, and I'm excited for what she's going to bring back and where we're going to go from there. So that's where she is tonight. And of course, we have Sheila Irwin. She is the epitome of customer service and reception as part of our team, and we wouldn't trade her for the world. I did mention, or if I didn't mention, this is an extremely talented team, as you can tell. So talented. The last time we were here, we talked to you about the state awards that we had received. Since then, we've been notified that we received some national awards. Pretty excited about that. Some writing, some website. Every area is mentioned, was represented in our awards, and so it's always nice to get that recognition for the district and to let us know that we're kind of on the right track with what we're doing. And so this is the 4th consecutive year that we've had state or national. So I'm really proud of this team. I'm really blessed to work with them, and we're proud of the work that we're doing, and we want to continue to push it forward. Is that any questions I can answer?
Thank you, Megan.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, that does conclude the report to the superintendent from the 5 o'clock session. Next is the routine monthly reports. Are there any questions on those? Hearing none, we'll review the 2019 board planning calendar. Dr. Chapel.
Yes, the next meeting, we of course have another finance report, operations report, including the quarterly demographic report. We expect to have the SRO interlocal agreement from Fort Worth. We know sometimes that gets delayed, so we're hopeful that that'll be this next time. We also have the state assessment data and EOC data from this last year, fine arts report, school safety report. We also have the hearings that are related to the finance and to the approval of the budget. And then also under the routine reports, we have the co-op fees, quarterly investment reports, and additional bids and proposals. We did place a few items that you see there under consent agenda that if you would like more information on those, we certainly can provide it, but these are ones that come to you every year, and we just place those under consent as we have in the last couple of years.
And where we're going to do a report on the transfer policy?
Yes, sir. That won't be for August, it'll be for September.
September? Okay. So that's, all right. Let's see. Any questions on that? Hearing none, I'll move to the consent agenda for approval.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Donna to approve the consent agenda. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Board president announcements. I don't really have anything. I think the summer's going, sounds like Cleet's been really busy and projects are underway, so we're looking forward to getting school started timely. And
Charles, the maintenance department, they've got some projects too they've been working on. We're going to try to report to y'all the next.
all right, thank you, Charles. Appreciate y'all's work this summer too. Superintendent announcements, Dr. Chapel.
Yes, we have the dedication ceremony coming up from Marine Creek that I mentioned on August the 5th. We also have some new hire orientations. If you'd like to attend any of those events, we'd be pleased to be able to introduce you at those. We'll keep your time very limited, so you don't have to be there the whole time. But if you are available on one of those days, we'd like to incorporate you into one of those events, whether it be a meal or something, and have you as a part of that. Just please let Linda know. We also have the Back to School Bash, which is on Saturday. This is August 10th. It'll also be at Tarrant County College like it was last year. If you're interested in helping out with that, I know there'll be something to do, so just please let us know. Again, coordinate with Linda on that one. We also have a convocation coming up. That's going to be a really exciting event, also managed in part by our communications department, of course, the involvement of the whole district, and so they're working on putting that all together and rolling that out. And so summer has moved quickly, so we're really excited about opening up and having everybody come back, and it's been really a productive summer. That's it.
August 19th.
August 19th, first day.
August 19th.
I'm ready.
Seeing there's no further business to come before this board, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Donna, second by Marilyn.